Hey guys, it's Josh here and welcome back to another speed build. So today's build is of a Japanese suburban home. I have built one in the past, but the exterior on this one is different to the one I built last time, which is actually right next door because I needed a tiny lot to build on, and the first one I thought of was just the one right next door to the previous lot that I used to build a Japanese house. So here we are with the exterior shape pretty much already done. This is a tiny house, and if you're thinking like this house has a weird shape or it looks a bit funny, most suburban houses in Japan look fairly awkward in terms of shape and exterior design because there's not a lot of space to work with, and it's almost always really squished in terms of fitting onto the lot size. Like the smallest lots in The Sims 4 are still fairly generous in terms of lot sizes in the busiest streets of Japan. Maybe not so much on like the countryside, but in like main cities, and not to the point where there's like skyscrapers, but when it's like the outskirts of a city where it's mainly just houses that are not apartments or skyscrapers, then the lot sizes are still pretty squished. And in terms of that, this like 20 by 15 lot, I'm pretty sure, is still fairly generous. But anyway, we are just placing the windows now, and for the most part the windows are quite simple. I think I almost exclusively use the windows with the design you currently see, like the small version, the large version, and the one that goes the entire wall height. I think I used that. I think it's called Let There Be Light or something. And I was going to try and experiment with half walls going right up against the foundation, but it kind of glitches out. Like the half wall like trimming at the top ends up like floating up above the wall, which looks a bit strange. And then when I tried again, the roof disappeared, so I ended up just going along with it and placing the half wall on a foundation like someone normally would, because I guess it ended up looking good in the end. But I just kind of wanted like the brick texture to go all the way to the bottom, but I guess the game didn't really want me to do that, so here we are putting the half walls on foundations. But to be honest, it looked pretty, like it turned out okay, especially at the front, because I did something quite interesting that I was quite happy with. But I basically made a section of half wall at the front to be shorter than the rest of the half walls, and then I placed one of the, I believe, dine out trimmings on top, which has like a little bit of a fence thing going on there, which kind of like lined up perfectly with the regular half walls, which I thought looked pretty cool. And as you can see, I'm trying to do that right now, but it was a little bit fiddly since like I couldn't like change the trimming color without changing the fence, which I didn't want to change, but we got it in the end. And as you can see, it's done, and I think it looks pretty cool. And also at the back, there's a little bit of a tiny balcony for the main bedroom. And I don't know why I didn't mention this earlier, but this is a 2-bedroom home with 1 bathroom and a kind of semi-connected kitchen and dining area with a separated living area that has an office corner as well, because this is a tiny house and I wanted to put an office somewhere or a desk somewhere, so I put it in the living room. And it's quite squishy, but honestly, that's fairly immersive for your Sims, because Japanese homes are typically very small. Even in the countryside, even if you've got a lot of land, the houses are still pretty small because you don't need much to live in Japan. As in, like, you don't need much space because everything is so tiny anyway. Like, even the shops and stuff are very small, especially the little independent shops. The shopping centers are fairly large, but like the shops that you'd walk by on the street are fairly small and quite cozy as well. And I do try and reflect the cozy nature of the house by using a lot of dark brown colors in the house in the end. Like at the start, I use a lot of light wooden tones, but in the end, I also combine in a few dark tones as well, because it was a little bit too light for me. So I made it a bit darker brown, and it turned out a lot better. And apart from that, you can see right now that we're working on the interiors now, finally. And for the most part, each section of the house is pretty much separated for the other, so there's like it's not really open plan living. The first thing I wanted to build when EA finally added sliding doors to The Sims 3, The Sims 4 rather, was a Japanese home, because so many Japanese houses have sliding doors and I just love it. I love sliding doors so much, and it was one of the things I've wanted in The Sims since forever, because in Sims 3 it was part of base game, and in Sims 4 it is part of base game, but it took them like literally 4 years to do it. The kitchen, if I'm being honest with you guys, the cabinet system I made is kind of funky. Like I put in like these sized down ones, and I just wanted to take up as much space and I didn't want any gaps. This is all because I wanted the glass cabinets to be facing towards a dining area instead of a normal person, and have it facing towards the kitchen. And that's why I ended up having to like play around with miniature cabinets and stuff, but in the end I think it turned out okay and I'm happy with it. And I think we're moving on into the bathroom now. So one thing that happens to the bathroom is it does get sized up just a little bit by 1 unit towards the entrance outdoor area, because I wanted to have a separate bath, because in Japan the bath is usually separated from the rest of the bathroom, and I wanted to separate the toilet as well, but there was only so many things I could squish into this tiny house, so I ended up having to put the toilet inside the main, or the bathroom sink area, I guess. It also has a washing machine, no dryer though, so your Sims will have to dry their washing on the clothesline, which will be outside at the very end. But I think if you wanted to, you could easily fit in the dryer, but I didn't put it there because I wanted to make sure the window wasn't obscured. So I guess if you wanted to, you could delete that window and put in a dryer instead, but for this build I just decided to have no dryer and put the clothesline in, put in a clothesline instead. And now we're moving on into the lounging space, and honestly it's very small. There's not much else that happens in here apart from a desk that goes in and obviously the decorations, but they happen at the very end. And for the bedrooms, before we get there, I'll just talk about them real quick. So one of the bedrooms is a double bed which has a little balcony connected to it, and then there's another bedroom which is like a kid's bedroom which has 2 single beds, and I decided to put in 2 single beds and not just 1 single bed or a double bed, because I wanted to make the room feel a little bit more cramped, I guess, because if I wanted to just use 1 single bed it would be kind of strange, since this is a pretty generously sized bedroom, which is really rare for Japan, and then you put in this 1 single bed and you have so much spare space. So I wanted to make it feel a little bit more cozy and cramped. Well, do those 2 words belong together? But I just wanted to make it cozy and have 2 beds instead of 1, just to give the house a lot more of like a cozy feel to it, because big bedrooms are nice, but sometimes it's hard to make them look and feel cozy because there's just so much empty space that you have to fill in, and it just takes up a lot of time as well. So putting 2 beds in helped a lot to make the house feel a little bit more cozy and compact. I guess the word I was looking for instead of cramped. And in terms of exterior, apart from the plants that obviously will go in later on, there's also a clothesline, there's an outdoor bench within the enclosed backyard area, and behind the house is actually empty. Like I put nothing there. I treated it as if it wasn't part of the house because, as I mentioned, I wanted to use a smaller lot than the one I'm using right now, but none exists within The Sims, so I had to make do with what we had and use the smallest lot that we had available, which was still pretty big, but I did put some trees and stuff down there just to make it look like it's just a nature area or like a little park or something. But anyway, that's basically all there is to it apart from the cluttering and stuff. So yeah, I think I'll just leave you guys off here. There will be screenshots at the very end of this, so if you're interested in those, definitely stay tuned. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys!